everyone, I'm Rubina.
And I'm Layla.
Welcome back to our channel, Nutrition Unpacked,
where we try diets so you don't have to.
So we just finished 1 week of veganism,
Which is crazy.
Didn't think I could do it, but I did it. You did not.
I did not.
Day 2 of being vegan is not off to a great start. I just got back from the gym and I decided to have some Cheerios for breakfast of the honey nut variety. And it's only now that I'm like basically done eating that I realized they have honey on them. So at least I think they have honey on them. Oh yeah, they do have, they have mostly sugar, but then if you go down enough in the ingredients, there is honey.
I tried my best, okay?
Yeah. You know what though? I think for a transitionary period, how do you feel considering it was a transitionary period?
Okay. I just kind of wish that we could be done with this because we did the 2 weeks of vegetarian and then the week of vegan and just thinking that we have another week. I'm like, I just want to go back to eating what I normally eat.
What was the hardest part?
The difference between being a vegetarian and a vegan is a lot bigger than I thought.
Honestly, I'm struggling. I feel like this week I've been very busy. I haven't put in the effort to plan things and I'm really actually struggling to eat. It's not even like I can make my regular struggle meals.
I think a lot of my fallback, okay, I don't have that much time. Easy to prepare foods are vegetarian but not vegan, and that maybe I'll have a slice of cheese as a snack or a yogurt, or I'll have eggs on toast if I'm really in a crunch and I'm home from work late for dinner. And so having to kind of rethink that and try and think of okay, what meal can I have that's actually balanced has been a lot more difficult.
So I did make a little struggle meal today. It required a lot more effort than my typical struggle meals, but it is a chickpea, I'm gonna call it a thing. I don't know, I just opened a can of chickpeas, added some spices, tomatoes, and garlic and onion to it, whatever's in my fridge, and then let it simmer with some water, and then a naan bread and half an avocado, which honestly, I'm kind of happy with it. It does actually taste pretty good. So shout out to me for, coming up with something good against all odds.
And meat is not as sneaky, right? It's not like you'll sneakily find meat in a whole bunch of random products, whereas I feel like dairy and eggs is just in
things.
It's just in things.
Literally starting off day 1 of vegan and I'm already kind of not doing so well. There's this bread that I've been using forever. I kid you not. I had a dream. I had this dream epiphany where I literally just all of a sudden woke up and I was like, I don't think the bread that we have is vegan. And I checked the label. I'm so tired right now. I haven't had coffee yet. I checked the ingredients list. It has whey something or another in it. And yeah, so it's definitely not vegan, which really throws a wrench in my plans for today. It's just after 6 o'clock. There's hardly any stores open right now.
Yeah, and it's not always intuitive.
I've been trying to read the ingredients labels on things, and sometimes you'll find a sneaky egg.
Okay, vegan bread secured. When I tell you guys how this actually affected my sleep, I feel so much better now.
Last week was our first video in this vegan series. We talked about the health effects of being vegan and how really we do generally see positive trends in health outcomes when we look at observational research for things like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, certain forms of cancer, and that's kind of alongside what we see for vegetarian diets. However, at this moment in time, there's not that much research comparing, how does the vegan diet compare to the regular vegetarian diet.
Today we're going to dive into what the actual experience of being a vegan is like. There's a qualitative research paper that interviewed a whole bunch of different people that transitioned into veganism, and we're going to compare and contrast our experiences with those of the participants.
And this might be a good time to talk about qualitative versus quantitative research. A lot of the time when we talk about studies and these outcomes and observational trials, randomized control trials, that is quantitative research. And I think that's where our mind first goes when we think of research. But there's a whole other vein of research known as qualitative research. So instead of measuring things with numbers, it's really about getting the experience of people. So this kind of research is not necessarily generalizable to a whole group of people, but it gives us an idea of some of the common themes that may exist among a certain group of people. And in this case, it's a certain group of young adult vegans.
A huge part of the value of qualitative research is that it can offer kind of almost a jumping off point. It can maybe inspire other types of quantitative research.
They interviewed 20 people in the UK who were on the vegan diet. It didn't matter if they maintained the vegan diet, didn't matter if they had been vegan their whole entire lives. It kind of gave us a picture of a lot of different types of people who are vegan. Some of the challenges that were brought up by the participants was that with the vegan diet, it was harder to find replacements for certain foods. Things like a runny egg. You just can't get a runny egg, you know, like the yolk just flowing out.
That was exactly my experience. I know that there are like egg replacement things out there, but there's nothing that can replace like a soft poached runny egg.
It's a dark day in the household today. It's gonna be my first day without avocado egg toast. Have a moment of silence, but it's okay. It's okay. What we're gonna have instead is an avocado white bean mash toast thing. Full disclosure, this was supposed to blend in the blender, so I think it spreads a little bit easier. It didn't quite work out. I don't know if I missed a liquid component, but you know what? Nothing wrong with a chunkier spread. If anything, might be better. So this is the finished product. There's white beans, avocado, some garlic, cilantro, kind of squished together. Then I put hot sauce and everything but the bagel seasoning and some roasted tomatoes on there as well.
Vegan cheese, I did not try any this week, but in the past I've had it and it's not quite the same as like a good dairy cheese. So I definitely get what the participants were saying.
You know what though, this past week I made a vegan moussaka.
Okay, editing Rubina here. For the next few moments, we're gonna be talking about this moussaka, and I keep calling the layer on top as cheese. Turns out, I'm dumb. It's supposed to be a bechamel, not cheese. So that for the next few moments, every time I say cheese, what I mean is bechamel.
Typically it's made with, I think, beef and cheese. This one was with lentils and like a cashew based cheese. And honestly, I think it's probably one of my most favorite thing that I've ever made.
Full disclosure, I've never even tried a regular moussaka before, so I have no concept of what it's supposed to be like. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but this recipe has lentils and eggplant in it, and I love both of those things, so I can't imagine where this could go wrong. So it definitely fell apart when I was plating it up, but to be honest, it smells really good. That's so good.
Was the cashew thing, did it have the same taste and texture of cheese? No, but honestly, I thought it was really, really good. Like, I think if you just approach it as like, hey, this is its own cashew-based thing, it's its own thing. I love the flavor and I love the texture of it.
The best plant-based burgers I've had have been like the bean ones with the vegetables in, rather than the ones that are really trying to be meat.
One of the other challenges that participants had brought up was just the fact that sometimes you might just slip up if you're not paying too close.
I don't know how
attention.
How could that happen?
Hi everyone, it is day 5, week 1 of being a vegan, and I messed up again. So this is the second time I've messed up so far. I'm at the Stars on Ice show, and I decided to buy some popcorn, and I realized this is probably not vegan. It probably has some kind of butter extract on it.
No, this one is like at me. I've out of the 6 days we've been vegan so far, I've actually only been fully vegan for 4, and it's like literally just stupid mistakes. On day 2, okay, I have to be at work quickly, let me just have some cereal, and the cereal he had was Honey Nut Cheerios, and I know it's in the name.
I know, and you're like,
I'm having the almond milk. I'm so vegan.
That's literally, I had almond milk, and I was like, oh, let me have these cereals, and I was like halfway through, and I was like, wait, these are Honey Nut Cheerios, and there's only a bee on the box. Most of it's sugar. I will say, anyone who's eating Honey Nut Cheerios thinking it's mostly honey, most of that is sugar, because it's like whatever's in it. Oh, I think there's oats in it, whatever, blah, 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 sugar, and then you get down there and it's honey, and I'm sure they just only put that honey in it to be like, it has real honey in it. So how have your temptations been this week? Because I know in the study, something that people talked about was having temptations, you know, if they're living with someone else, their housemates, you know, eating things, going to the grocery store and having those little temptations. Did you feel that at all?
Just in my life in general, I think I often maybe make different choices than like my partner or my family or my friends. So although, I mean, since we've started doing this type of channel, I think what I'm saying no to has been kind of shifting every couple of weeks, making a different choice. I'm not uncomfortable doing it, or like I don't necessarily like, I guess, feel tempted that easily.
I do sometimes, like when I'm eating, mostly with my boyfriend, he'll be having like meat, and then I'll be having like my like sad little like not meat version of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, ooh, that looks tasty, or like that smells really good.
That was a theme that had come up in the study as well, that a lot of people that didn't end up continuing with the vegan diet was because they found it overly restrictive. What came up in the study as well, for some people, there is maybe some more of that all or nothing mentality, where if there is a slip up, it's kind of like just throwing in the towel altogether. It's
Too late, I already messed up. I'm not a vegan anymore, so why bother?
I'll try again tomorrow. Well, I'll try again for the rest of the day, but also tomorrow to have a better breakfast.
that all or nothing mentality can definitely be very counterproductive. And
In this study that even said something like, you know, I hear from a lot of people, I could be vegan except for I can't give up cheese. The person was just saying like, okay, well then be vegan and don't give up cheese.
I think in this kind of context, sometimes we're distracted. We kind of lose sight of the goal, and we're kind of more focused on the label itself. It's like, well, if I can't be 100% vegan, then I'm not a vegan. So why would I even try? Whereas opposed to if you think of it as like, well, the goal is to reduce harm to animals or reduce harm to the environment. So what can I do to move towards that? Like, what is the goal? Is the goal to be a perfect vegan, or is the goal to be healthier and do less harm to the environment and do less harm to animals?
All or nothing mindset is really, you know, can get in the way of that. It's like, if I can't be 100% perfect, then I'm just not going to do it at all.
One of the other themes that came up is just social pressures, and some people were reporting that even like family members would challenge them on whether veganism was actually healthier or better for the environment. Maybe other people getting annoyed with having to make concessions or different types of food. Was that something that you'd come across?
So I was sick when we were doing the vegetarian diet, and like one of my colleagues I think thinks that that's caused by me doing all these different diets and like cutting out things, which I don't know if that's the case. I think I was just sick.
I think you were just sick.
I think the weather was changing and I was sick.
People just get sick sometimes.
My boyfriend is worried about me eating enough, which is actually a fair worry, because when I have a lot of other things going on in my mind, it's hard for me to prioritize and think about like what I'm going to eat. You know, I have my go-to meals of like, okay, I just got home from work, it's 8:30, what the heck am I going to eat? I've had to really rethink that, and definitely I think my nutritional quality has taken a hit.
I mean, that's also, I think, a very common concern for people that have no interest in becoming vegan, or even people that do choose to become vegan. I think there is that sentiment or that idea that, there's no way you can have a nutritionally adequate diet.
We're starting off with something familiar, oatmeal. I have that basically almost every morning. Omitting the milk. I'm doing the number one thing we said not to do when you're doing vegan, just getting rid of animal-based foods, and that's what I'm doing because I don't really know how to add more protein or calcium into this. Honestly, I think my concern about like not having enough calcium and whatever might be just kind of my vegan bias. Okay, everyone, I did the math, and the breakfast I'm having has 18 grams of protein and 23% of my daily calcium needs. So I guess it really does not need milk to, be a healthy, balanced breakfast.
Which is not true. I just think it takes a lot more planning and preparation, especially in our culture where kind of meat is the focal point of every single meal.
A lot of the nutritional components that might be of concern in a vegan diet. Our video that we did last week, we give a rundown of a whole bunch of different nutrients, including protein, B12, zinc, iron. So definitely check that out because all of those apply for the vegan diet as well. Today, I think it could be worth diving a little bit deeper into especially two nutrients, B12 and omega-3.
B12 is kind of the big one, especially with vegan diets, even more so than vegetarian diets. And this is because B12 is found mostly in meat, so like poultry and beef, and then also can be found in dairy and eggs as well.
There are foods on the market that tend to be fortified with B12, so plant-based milks, nutritional yeast, and even breakfast cereals. Vitamin B12 is really important for DNA creation and red blood cell formation. It plays a role in the division process in making red blood cells, and if we don't have B12, what that can lead to is a type of anemia called megaloblastic anemia, which I think is how you say it. And essentially what that can lead to is abnormally large red blood cells. And maybe on the surface that doesn't sound like that would be that big of a deal, but it really, really is, because first of all, when it's that size, it may not even be able to enter your bloodstream because it's physically too large. And then also because it's not going through that proper division process, we just end up with less red blood cells in your system, which obviously compromises the oxygen capacity of your body. Some of the symptoms that you might experience with vitamin B12 deficiency: fatigue, dizziness, shortness of breath, lightheadedness, and even things like constipation, diarrhea, and pale skin.
If B12 deficiency gets really bad, we can actually even see some neurological symptoms, which can be very, very scary. Dementia, depression, memory memory loss and confusion, and also just generally nerve damage. So having low levels of this can have long-term impacts.
Vitamin B12 is almost exclusively found in animal food, so whether that's meat, poultry, fish, seafood, dairy, or eggs. For those that are including those types of foods, so whether you're an omnivore or an ovo-lacto vegetarian, typically getting enough B12 is not really something that you probably need to be too concerned about, but we do find that the risk of deficiency in the vegan population is much, much higher.
The prevalence of vitamin B12 deficiency, and this is measured through the amount of vitamin B12 that's just hanging out in your blood, is a lot higher among vegans than any other population.
If you are taking on the vegan diet, you may benefit from taking a vitamin B12 supplement. There are certain plant-based foods that might have some vitamin B12 in it, like fermented beans and vegetables, certain types of algae, certain types of mushrooms, and of course, those fortified products on the market like plant-based milk, cereals, and nutritional yeast. But if those types of foods maybe aren't making an appearance in your daily menu, it might be worth considering a supplement, or at least, every few months or every couple of times a year, getting some blood work done to make sure that everything is going well with you.
And this is especially important because sometimes B12 deficiency is kind of silent.
Next, let's talk about omega-3. Omega-3 is a type of polyunsaturated fat that's important for metabolism, vision, nervous system.
Also is really important in anti-inflammatory and anti-clotting processes.
Omega-3 fatty acids are essential, like your body needs it but can't produce it, so we do need to get it from our diet. 3 types of omega-3 fatty acids that are especially important. I am not gonna say the full words. I will use the acronyms.
Okay.
Do you want to say the full words?
We have alpha
linolenic.
I always get linoleic and
I know, I
linolenic
think it's
confused.
linolenic.
Yes.
Alpha-linolenic, icosapentaenoic acid,
And
docosahexaenoic
docosahexaenoic acid.
acid. Oh, maybe
Yeah.
I can kind of say it.
Icosapentaenoic and docosahexaenoic acid.
ALA, EPA, and
And
DHA. ALA you actually can get from a lot of different plant foods, including flaxseed, chia seeds, walnuts, and canola oil. But EPA and DHA you can actually pretty much only get through fatty fish and other forms of seafood. EPA and DHA are actually really, really important for anti-inflammatory and anti-clotting processes, play an important role in the structural components of cell membranes, our eyes, and even plays a role in the function and development of our brain cells.
When we look at omega-3 consumption as a whole, we don't really see a whole lot of difference between vegetarians and vegans and omnivores. But when we get into the nitty-gritty of things and we look at ALA versus EPA, DHA, we do see a difference. The caveat here is we don't really know if this has any sort of impact. Your body is really smart and can adapt to a lot of different things, and so your body actually can turn ALA into EPA and DHA. It's just kind of like bad at it.
In the, I think, standard North American diet, omega-6 consumption is actually disproportionately high when compared to omega-3. And we find that there's actually a lot of similar processes that happen in our body. And when we take in a lot of omega-6s, it can actually further compromise your body's ability to convert ALA to EPA and DHA.
Something that you can do if you are concerned about, am I getting enough omega-3s? Is my body able to make enough EPA and DHA? Is, maybe reducing your omega-6 intake. And this will help your body prioritize making omega-3s rather than omega-6s. There's a few other things that you can do as well. One is making sure that your diet is balanced and you're getting enough of a lot of those other really important nutrients. Also, there may be some benefit in reducing caffeine, alcohol intake, in promoting the conversion of ALA into EPA and DHA.
I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about the possible challenges of the vegan diet. So to be fair, let's talk about the positives as well. And there actually is a lot. I think one of the biggest things is that people just felt that it was in alignment with their values, like when it comes to either their health, how they feel about, animal cruelty, or the contributions to environmental effects.
And I feel that because I know cognitively that our animal agriculture system is incredibly cruel, it's incredibly wasteful, it's contributing crazy amounts to the environment, but then the dissonance in terms of what I'm actually doing is not there. So I do feel like if I was a vegan for a long period of time, I would feel better about what I'm doing.
Earlier I said that I was successfully a vegan. When it comes to the food side of things, I think I killed it. When I think about veganism, like from the perspective of the entire philosophy and lifestyle of just not doing any harm or supporting things that might be doing harm to animals, I do feel like I might have failed a little bit.
So I'm back home from the medieval times show, the dinner theater show. And I gotta say, from a food perspective, the whole 3-bean and rice stew thing was actually not too bad. Going beyond the food and diet side of things from, you know, the vegan lifestyle perspective, the philosophy of kind of not doing any type of harm to animals or kind of supporting anything that does harm to animals. From that perspective, I do kind of feel like I might have failed by going to the show. I mean, I knew that there were horses involved, and I don't know what I was expecting, but to be honest, I was kind of bothered and uncomfortable by some of the things that they were getting the horses to do. Anyway, you live and you learn.
I think that was part of the cognitive dissonance, that like just watching animals being treated poorly is like so upsetting to watch, and yet like, yeah, going up and picking up chicken every week is like, feels just getting great groceries.
Because I think that the way that we sell meat and stuff is just like, it's like almost separated from the animal.
Even in this qualitative study, when they were interviewing people, different people approached it differently. I think some people were kind of like, I need hard and fast rules that I never break, and if I do break it, that's when all hell breaks loose and I'm just going to completely fall off the bandwagon. Whereas some people maybe had some flexibility, but like had kind of each person might have their own framework for when it is acceptable to be flexible. So that could be, you know, if someone spent hours slaving over like preparing a meal for me, maybe I can be flexible because that was a really nice gesture. Or, you know, the context of food waste, I think in some cases where people feel like, oh, if someone doesn't eat this, it's going to end up going to waste, then maybe it's the lesser evil to just allow myself to eat this.
Something that they also found in this study was that a lot of people felt like the vegan diet was beneficial for their health, and this was something that promoted people to stay with the diet for longer. So I haven't noticed anything, but honestly, Rubina sent me this like super excited text. I'll let you take it away.
Was I excited? I
don't
was
know.
bummed.
Were you bummed?
You guys, you know what's kind of crazy? I've talked on this channel about the fact that I've had long-standing digestive issues. You know what's absolutely crazy? Over the last few days, my bowel movements have been better than they've ever been in the last probably 10, 12 years maybe. And I'm like, has it been eggs this entire time? Like literally one of my top favorite foods. Has that been what's been causing problems this entire time? I'm kind of blown away that could be the problem. And maybe I shouldn't be blown away because that's actually a very common intolerance that people have. I don't know how to feel about this.
I was bummed.
Okay.
All of a sudden, after 2 days of vegan, I've had a normal, like in the Bristol chart, it's the normal. Like it occurred to me, it might have been eggs this entire time.
And guys, you don't know how tragic this is because this is Rubina's favorite food of all time ever.
Like eggs would very likely be on my death row meal menu. So I don't know, I'm like conflicted because a part of me is like, wow, that would be like, if it's just that one thing, I could just, yeah, like I figured it out. Like we're good. But also, do I want to not eat eggs? I really hope this continues. I hope this isn't some like weird fluke. I've replaced my avocado egg toast with like a mashed white bean toast.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's tasty, it's filling, it's satisfying. Is it better than eggs? No. Is it a lateral move? Still no.
You know what? It is good. It is good. It's good. Nothing can beat a soft poached egg though.
Eggs are definitely still better.
If we take in the whole picture of like the bathroom situation, I think that's a beneficial move. The vegan diet and the changes in your diet made you try some new recipes and things that you've been wanting to try. This has kind of pushed me a little bit more than the vegetarian diet.
I have to say, canned beans are a savior. Oh my goodness, I've been surviving off of canned beans. Tonight for dinner, I made a really quick lima bean do thing. Lima beans, I don't know if I've actually ever had them, but I know growing up I was like, ew, lima beans. And that was like a running joke in a lot of children's TV programs. Honestly, it's pretty good and it was super duper easy. Definitely not something I would have tried if it hadn't been for me being on the vegan diet.
Based on our week 1.
Our 1 week of being vegan, we're gonna tell you
because
all.
we're experts at being vegan now, we're gonna tell you how to do it.
Exactly. Listen, so first and foremost, what you have to do.
Plan ahead. Don't be like Layla. Do as we say, not as we do. If it is possible to get other people on board, or even if the people in your life aren't on board, I think even finding a community of people, like, I don't know, there are Facebook groups and stuff, I'm sure. Online communities that can be helpful in providing tips and support.
I think another thing is important to stick with it if you're doing it is to give yourself grace and kind of throw away that all or nothing mentality. And as to people who just jumped right into being vegan, it's really important that you move gradually. You could be vegan except for cheese if cheese is important to you. You could be vegan except for eggs if eggs are important to you.
1 more week of vegan to do.
Yes. And like, as much as I'm like, yeah, I feel so much more aligned in my values now, I'm very much looking forward to this being over.
What's gonna be your meal that you would do?
Oh, I don't even know. Maybe like a grilled cheese.
So you're having a really hard time this week, hey?
Yeah, mostly because I'm lazy. Another tip is don't be lazy like me.
If you can't get your shit together, then veganism is probably not for you.
I'm gonna say actually it's pretty good advice.
Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.